everyone. I'm Ruth Wasserman-Lande. Today is December 22nd, 2024. This is the live daily briefing of the Israeli Citizen Spokesperson's Office. Iran and its proxies are down, but not out. Despite Israel having weakened the Islamic regime in Iran considerably, Iran's proxies still threaten the world. Iran is trying to accommodate the big winner of the Syrian revolution, Turkey's Erdogan. In fact, the Islamic Republic of Iran wants to strike a deal with Turkey to save what's left of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran's foreign minister just visited Egypt for the very first time in 13 years. There, he met his counterpart from Turkey. Remember, like Iran and Turkey, Iran and Egypt are no friends. Iran is Shiite, while Egypt and Turkey are Sunni. Iran supports Islamist groups, while Egypt sees those groups as her enemies. Why then did the Iranian foreign minister visit Cairo? To diversify friends in the region? To cause harm in Sudan, where Iran already meddled in favor of Islamist forces? To enforce a maritime blockade on the Suez Canal in the Red Sea? Some of Iran's proxies are already doing that. You may have heard. Iran's terror pirates in Yemen keep attacking global shipping, and the US Navy too. The Houthis and their Iranian overlords want to choke the West so that they'll be allowed to terrorize the Middle East. America and Israel are basically standing against them. The Houthis sit along a narrow waterway that any ship from Asia to Europe must pass through. The Houthis fired Iranian missiles and drones at US sailors multiple times in the last weeks. In fact, the West can no longer let Iran bully it. The Houthis have attacked 100 ships with Iranian missiles and drones since October 7th. That's why the US jets struck Houthi missile sites and headquarters multiple times this week. The Houthis also attacked Israel's people multiple times this week. Iranian ballistic missiles fired by the Houthis in Yemen demolished a school and a playground in Israel. Thankfully, no one was killed in Israel in those attacks, although dozens were injured. The Houthis have fired over 200 ballistic missiles and 170 drones at Israel since October 7th. Where is the outcry? That's why Israel's jets struck Houthi ports that supply the Iranian missiles and drones. The Houthis say, death to America, death to Israel, curse be upon the Jews, and their Iranian bosses say that Israel is the little Satan, but America is the great Satan. The Houthis are taking turns attacking Israelis and Americans. Israel and America are taking turns striking Houthi targets, and in fact, are protecting the entire world. Now, UNRWA hid from the world that terrorists took over their clinic in Samaria, the northern West Bank. Finally, when they could no longer hide it, UNRWA admitted that their medical site was in fact a terror base. You think Gaza was bad? Think again. The West Bank is a hotbed of terror, nurtured by Iran with weapons smuggled via Jordan. And who else partners with Iran's proxy, Hamas, to destabilize the area? You guessed it right, UNRWA. UNRWA is not a simple international aid organization. It is a UN body posing as humanitarian, while in fact it comprises thousands of Hamas terrorists. That's why the governments of the Netherlands and Sweden defunded UNRWA this week. Call on your governments to stop funding Hamas's war via UNRWA. UNRWA is just a Hamas front. Defund UNRWA. Now let's take some questions from our audience watching live on social media.
Thank you, Ruth. This first question is from Instagram. Do you sense that the United States and Israel are cooperating at a high level regarding Yemen, and when do you sense that the Red Sea will be open to international shipping again?
So first of all, the United States and Israel are cooperating on a very high level between the two militaries. That has been the case, is the case, and please God will continue to be the case. But in fact, it's the interest of the entire Western world and countries in the Middle East to cooperate, because the Houthis are basically ransacking. They are taking hostage the countries of the West and the Middle East by attacking those ships. They're hurting the economy of those countries. They're hurting the passage of those countries. And in fact, they are acting as modern day pirates par excellence. And therefore, it is the vital interest of the entire world to cooperate against them and against the Islamic Republic of Iran that is behind them.
What do you make of the Turkish leader's threats to Israel? Does he mean it? What is the future of Israel-Turkey cooperation?
That's a brilliant question, and thank you for posing it. Turkey is a very strong country, geostrategically placed in a very, very central position. It is very strong, and it is also a NATO member, and we need to take that into account. Now, literally, Turkey took over Syria. What we see with the rebel revolution, the Sunni rebels in Syria are de facto Turkey, exactly like Iraq was until recently Iran or the Islamic Republic of Iran and not an independent country. Likewise, you will see that Syria is de facto Erdogan's Turkey, and Turkey will be in Syria. It is already entering Syria in the northeastern part where the Kurds are, but that will not stop there. And Turkey will be a force to be reckoned with. Everybody will come to Turkey and ask to be part and parcel of the festivities, including Iran, that is the big loser of the revolution in Turkey, because it will need Turkey to continue to smuggle weapons to the Hezbollah in Lebanon via Syria. So definitely Turkey is a big issue. All eyes must be on Turkey, especially the United States of America, and Israel and the rest of the countries should be both fearful and have their eyes open.
The IDF just put out a statement saying that IDF forces continue to operate in southern Lebanon and find Hezbollah weapons. Are you surprised to the extent that the IDF is still operating in southern Lebanon and still finding weapons?
I'm absolutely and utterly and without a doubt, nor a question, completely unsurprised. The Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, designated terrorist organization by many Western countries. That organization lies again, and will lie in the future. And it has stacked many weapons illegally in Lebanon on the backs of Lebanese people and to the detriment of the Lebanese people. And even though the agreement said that the Hezbollah must be defunded and unarmed in those particular areas, the IDF still finds weapons and spots that are illegally held by the Hezbollah. And therefore, it continues acting because it will do everything that is needed to protect the Israeli civilians.
There are many questions coming through our live stream right now about the fate of the hostages in Gaza. They're seeing headlines with all kinds of rumors and reports. What is your assessment of the current status of negotiations between Israel and Hamas to see some hostages released?
So I'm trying to see it from the point of view of the terrorist organization Hamas rather than from the Israeli eyes. I'm trying. The Hamas is holding on to the hostages basically as the last asset that it has. It is no longer strong. It has been very harshly hurt by the IDF and the war that has continued for many months. It has lost a lot of its infrastructure and manufacturing cells, of weaponry. It has lost all the openings that allow for the smuggling of new weapons and or personnel from the Islamic Republic of Iran. And yet it is still holding onto the 100 hostages. This is the major asset that the Hamas has. And it will be very, very forceful in not letting them go. It will use this asset to the best of their ability. And they know how to make this as painful as possible for the families, for the people of Israel, and for humanity in general. What needs to be done? I've said this before, and I'll say this again. Egypt must be sent to get the information out from those murderous Hamas captive people who caught the hostages and get them back, because they're holding onto our hostages illegally, and the Egyptians know how to get that information out of them and make them return, not via coordination and raising them from below, from their weakened position. I personally think that they will begin and continue with the negotiation, but they will find every excuse not to see it through completely, because this is the only asset, as I said before, that they have left.
We have two more questions. The first one is about the situation in the northern West Bank. The Palestinian Authority has been taking action against terrorists in Jenin. What are they doing? Are they a potential partner for Israel in fighting terrorism, or should we be wary of the Palestinian Authority?
So the Palestinian Authority has already proved throughout the years that they sometimes fight the terrorists who are their arch enemy. In fact, the ones who crave the leadership in the West Bank, and that is the Hamas or the Islamic Jihad. And sometimes when it's less convenient for them, they just let them carry out terrorist operations or suicide bombings amidst Israeli civilians. Basically, the Palestinian Authority is almost the same as Hamas, hating Israel, hating Israeli civilians, and believing that they need to be killed. In fact, one needs only look at their educational system and curriculum to understand that it's free for all to check. You don't have to rely on my words. But then again, we have the Palestinian Authority with arms currently very strongly fighting the Hamas. Why? Because in the negotiations currently, it is talked about that the Palestinian Authority will take control over the Rafah crossing. And in order to prove that they still have strength, despite the fact that the Islamic Republic of Iran has strengthened the Hamas and the Islamic Jihad over the past years in the West Bank, they want to show that they're still strong and that they can be stronger than the Hamas. They are not, and they are not to be trusted in Gaza as well.
This is our last question for our live daily briefing today. The holiday of Hanukah is coming up in a few days. What is your Hanukah message to the Jewish people and friends of Israel watching around the world?
Thank you for asking me this beautiful question. And it allows me to say that light is always amongst us, always amidst the Jewish people and people of value who are not Jewish, people who feel, who touch, who want to keep and maintain the ethics and the values that are dear to the entire Western world. And this is what I wish for all of us, for the hostages to return home, for our people to finally be able to breathe calmly, because as long as those hostages are out there, none of us breathe calmly. And I wish for the entire Jewish peoplehood and our friends out there to be strong. In our unity, we are indeed strong. So Hanukah Sameach, happy holidays, and thank you for being with us. Return to us tomorrow at 3 p.m. Israel time. Thank you.